Eric Holder spoke about Black History Month at the Department of Justice. Take a listen.
Though this nation has proudly thought of itself as an ethnic melting pot, in things racial, we have always been, and we, I believe, continue to be, in too many ways, essentially a nation of cowards. Though race-related issues continue to occupy a significant portion of our political discussion, and though there remain many unresolved racial issues in this nation, we, average Americans, simply do not talk enough with each other about things racial.
Well, okay, I'll buy that. But the cowards thing, well, is the Attorney General right? Are Americans a nation of cowards when it comes to race? Pat Buchanan is an MSNBC political analyst, and Georgetown University professor Michael Eric Dyson is the author of a new book called April 4th, 1968, Martin Luther King Jr.'s Death and How It Changed America. Professor Dyson, my old friend, I got to tell you, I was kind of surprised when I heard Eric Holder say we are a nation of cowards. I don't think we are when it comes to race. I think we might be awkward in talking about it. We might be a little reluctant to talk about it, but cowards, no. What do you say?
Well, Brother Barnicle, my dear friend, I think that Mr. Holder, Attorney General Holder, who's an extraordinarily eloquent and balanced man, he's very judicious, not seen as a radical by any measure, this man got to the heart of the matter. His point was that we are cowardly when you compare us to other arenas of expertise and pursuit in America. We are not willing to be second to anybody when it comes to the space race, when it comes to technology, when it comes to this failed economy, unfortunately, but when it comes to our sense of competition. But when it comes to race, we lag far behind. We don't have the ability to step up to the plate and be honest about all of the array of problems that we continue to confront. I think Mr. Holder was trying to suggest to America, let's allow the rest of our grand legacy of American democratic experimentation match us when it comes to speaking openly and honestly and forthrightly about race. Many people think that we live now in a post-racial society because of President Barack Obama's ascendancy to the highest office in the land. That is just not true. Neither should we be. We shouldn't be post-racial. Okay. We should be post-racist. We should look beyond the day when narrow impediments and blind bigotries continue to impede us from moving forward in this nation.
Okay, Pat Buchanan, you just heard Professor Dyson say that we're less than honest as a nation, as a people, in talking about race. What do you think happens with white guys like you and me when we talk about race in honestly, at least from our perspective? What happens?
Oh, I've spoken honestly from my standpoint. I know you really get fired upon. But let me say this about Mr. Holder. This is a remark of almost paralyzing stupidity. If you want to start a discussion about how there is a measure of social self-segregation going on, I mean, you got black churches, black caucus, colleges, and black clubs. There is that. If he wants to discuss that, Mike, you don't start it off by insulting the people you want to talk to. I mean, that was not an invitation to a discussion. It was an invitation to a fight when you call us a nation of cowards. Secondly, no nation on earth has done more in the last 50 years, the American people and American nation, to bring this people of color into full participation in American society, and none has succeeded more. And to call us cowards, I think, it really not only chops off the conversation, it is a blatant lie.
Professor Dyson?
Well, let me respond to that. First of all, when you say self-segregation, the black church didn't come into existence because it desired to be separate from the white church. The white separatist movement within American Christianity forced black churches to start their own. The Congressional Black Caucus came into existence, and white supremacists value.
Well, we're having a little difficulty there with Professor Dyson.
Black people in America continue to exist within a context of segregation. That segregation is largely imposed from without. What we need to do then is to argue about the necessity for America to embrace all of its different colors, all of its vital ethnic and racial strands, so that we can be truly e pluribus unum out of many one.
Pat Buchanan.
Well, let me just say this to Professor Dyson. Look, I think coming on these TV shows and having a discussion, even an argument, is a good thing. But you don't get a discussion when you walk on and say, first off, I want to say you all are a bunch of cowards, because it's not true.
That's not what
it's
he
an
said.
Insult. And, well, he said we are a nation of cowards. Was he talking about himself? I mean, was he talking about Obama sitting there silently when Reverend Wright went into his racist diatribes? Who was he talking about?
No.
Most of us think,
let me tell you
he's
what
talking about
he was talking about. He's talking about America. Look at this point. You know, you say you want honest conversation, and Mr. Barnicle started the conversation. What happens when we white guys speak honestly about race? Well, I'll tell you what happens. When you speak honestly about race, you tell the truth about what you feel. All of us should be allowed to do that. The question is, when we put our bona fides on the table, when we establish what we think are the baselines for racial conversation in America, we have to be honest and willing to say, hey, maybe we didn't get it right. Maybe white supremacy, social injustice, the owning of slaves, Jim Crow law, and vicious bigotry have not led to the best experiment in democracy. Hold on. And what we must do now is to acknowledge that and then move forward. It's not so when black people tell the truth, then white feelings of guilt and offense come about.
Okay,
and now we can't have an open conversation.
Let me tell some truths. White folks in America are not responsible for the 70% illegitimacy rate in the black community. We are not responsible for the fact that African Americans commit crimes at 7 times the rate of white Americans. We are not responsible for the fact that many more children in the African American community, 75%, are born out of wedlock, as I said. All of these things are the responsibility of the African American community, and its leaders should address the problems in their own community and stop blaming folks who aren't responsible.
First of all, Jesse Jackson has been responding to that issue for the last 40 years. Many people have been having a vibrant, vital, consistent conversation about the necessity for self-responsibility. What I didn't hear you say is that black people are not responsible for Oscar Grant when he goes out in Oakland and then gets viciously assaulted by a policeman. We are not responsible for chimpanzee commercials and cartoons put forth by the New York Post that draw, let me finish, that draw an implicit relationship between the president...
Sure.
Well, we're having trouble with Professor
Dyson.
Go ahead,
Let me
Pat.
tell you, in the statistics on group crime against individuals, gang rape and gang assaults, the numbers are almost 100 to 1. 45% of African American crime is committed against whites. Whites commit 3% of their crimes against African Americans. All crime should be condemned, but it seems to me in the African American community, you should look to your own responsibilities instead of our faults.
Responsibility for taking step. According to you, the entire problem of racial fascism in this country rests upon the backs of black people. You have not owned up to, at one point in this conversation, the reality that the dominant American culture has fed and fueled the vicious divisiveness that we continue to confront. So now you're trying to scapegoat.
You continue to blame. Look, the African American community was far more law-abiding.
When black people talk about honest feelings, it's blaming. When white people talk about it, it's called being held responsible.
Well, look,
you don't want to be responsible. You don't want to be responsible.
Professor Dyson,
it begins with I. Eric Holder was right. This nation must live up to the true meaning of its creed, and we must engage in some serious analysis going wrong in the country. If we can't be honest about that, many black people are used to hearing negative things about themselves every day in the press. Many white people are not. It's time that we share the burden and redistribute the pain, and all of us engage in a convincingly open, cogent explanation about why we are where we are racially, and Eric Holder has done that with his brilliant comments.
I think, Professor, you got to take a little more responsibility for your own community.
Brother, we've been responsible. What I need to hear you talk about is responsibility for what America has done to so many, not only African-American people, Native peoples, First Indigenous people, and then all of us can move toward a society where we eat pluribus.
No better country on earth for African people than America.
We got to go.
No better country.
We love America. That's why we have a black president.
And that's why we're not a nation of cowards, Professor Dyson.
I loved it even before that.
Well, you know what? Here's my point. My point is simply this. The election of one black man in public housing on 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue will not solve the problems of the nation. Barack Obama understands that. The rest of us should understand that, too. It's an enormous move forward, but we still have work to be done. That's all we're suggesting. It's both and, not either or.
Michael Eric Dyson.
I think you do have work to be done, and we have work to be done. I agree with that.
And Pat Buchanan. Thank you very much. Up next, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton wows